Hello, my name is Megan Page, and I am a double major in art history and historic preservation with a minor in museum studies at the University of Mary Washington. This is an excerpt of a larger semester study on the architect Baldassare Longhena and his architectural influences and practices focusing on the palace, the Ca Rezzonico. The Ca Rezzonico, located on the right bank of the Grand Canal in Venice, is one of, if not the best, example of Venetian Baroque architecture in the city. It was started by the architect Baldassare Longhena in 1649 and finished by Giorgio Massari in the 1750s. Filippo Bon commissioned the structure after being impressed by Longhena's Baroque church, the Santa Maria della Salute, also located on the Grand Canal. Filippo Bon was part of the Bon family of Venice, one of the ancient noble class or patriciate families of Venice. In the 17th century, when Baroque architecture came into vogue, it was an elegant and extravagant style. In Venice, it was common for families to use the architectural ornamentation of their palaces to project their own wealth, position, and power to the rest of the city. The Baroque style in particular truly embodies this grand extravagance because of the intricacy of its design, as well as Longhena's choice to build with elements inspired by classical antiquity like the Colosseum. The Ca Rezzonico is set up with a distinct tripartite or three-part system. These three diverse levels show that Longhena is looking back to Jacopo Sansovino and Andrea Palladio, two previous Venetian Renaissance architects. Longhena is using his Renaissance counterparts as a foundation and then adding his own Baroque inventions. Some elements that Longhena uses are Corinthian and Ionic columns on the first and second piano nobiles, or two upper floors. On the first piano nobile, to create a more dynamic effect, he has turned the scrolls of the Ionic columns from laying parallel with the building to each of the corners at a 45-degree angle, giving the stonework more depth and appearance. These columns span the facade of each level, and on each end there is a double column for emphasis. On the ground floor, freestanding Doric columns are used at the center doorway. These columns form Longhena's own adaptation of a triumphal arch. Each of these classically inspired features allow the Bon family to project the wealth which they have amassed over the last century while moving up in society. The final feature added to exhibit their wealth was a staircase below the center archway. Unlike palaces of the past, which used ground-level portals to dock their gondolas, the Ca Rezzonico has stairs. These stairs indicate that the family is wealthy enough to hire others to transport them from place to place in the city. Unfortunately, the architect Longhena tragically died in 1682, long before the structure was completed, and at this point, only the ground floor and first piano nobile have been built under the influence of the architect. It took another 100 years after Longhena's death for the building to be finalized, and a number of contemporary artists in both paintings and etchings of the Grand Canal have documented this halt in progress. This disruption was mainly due to the fact that the Bon family went bankrupt not long after Longhena's death. The extravagance of the building's cost in materials and labor, as well as Venice's slow decline, eventually are what ruined the family. In the end, it was the pride in their own wealth which was their downfall. The building sat in a state of decay until the mid-18th century when it was purchased by the Rezzonico family and given a new life.